Hello, so for our tune tutorial this week we're going to do Petticoat Loose. We're going to start, well, Walsh's country dance setting for this tune and Thomas Nixon's are quite similar, but since it's 4th of July, I'm generally not a particularly patriotic person. I think being a historian of Indigenous history will sort of do that to you, but so that's interesting that Thomas Nixon's tune book exists and he's got Petticoat Loose in there, so we'll talk about his setting. Remember, Thomas Nixon was a fife player at the Battle of Lexington and Concord. He's just a teenage kid rebel that was playing there. So we got his tune book and it's pretty great. The music is a little bit tricky to interpret, so I kind of have to figure out the settings based on how Walsh's has it, and then looking at the tune book closer now I can see that everything that I thought was a quarter note that should be an eighth note actually does have sort of the suggestion of a tail to make it an eighth note. Not a heck of a lot of differences, especially in the A part and the B part to compared to Walsh's Caledonian Country Dances. So we'll just play the A part first, and I'll play it slow and straight. And then there's a repeat. Only kind of flourishes I do to it. I had a lot of like doublings or strikes. I like plain whistle, I like tongue in the notes to give it a little bit more swing to it. The Walsh's Caledonian Country Dances, his setting, doesn't have any dotting and cutting in the first part, but on the B part he does. But yeah, so Walsh's just has it written. Virtually identical. So part B, or the second part in Walsh's setting, has some dotting and cutting. And Walsh, it just goes... So there's only that dotting and cutting, kind of the fourth measure in. So my challenge is, I think it sounds better with a little bit of dotting and cutting throughout. So I think I'm going to wind up revisiting Nixon's setting on the podcast because I'm realizing, looking at his setting, he's got second and third written. And then the fourth line down, it says first continued on. So I think the second and third lines are actually harmonies. So I'm going to poke around and experiment with that. If it works, it'll be on the podcast. Because the second line is just, I don't know, it's... which is pretty dull. But I think it would work as a harmony. Line 3 is that I'm less sure will work as a harmony, but we'll give it a shot. Line 4, like I said, is quite a bit different in Nixon. So this is the second part. So in Nixon, it is pretty close, but then it really changes. So all the way through here, sorry. All the way through. Pretty good. I might run out of time, but I'll try to do it straight and funky. So yeah, it's a cool little tune. Remember, Walsh's Caledonian Country Dances is from the 1740s, and Thomas Nixon's tune book is from the 1770s. So popular tune for a long time. Thanks for supporting the podcast. Cheers.